Continuing with our lesson on the method of substitution, we want to solve for x and y in this diagram. Well, we know that a straight line has 180 degrees in it, and so that therefore x plus y plus 48 must equal 180, because these two angles must add to 180. So isolating the getting x plus y on one side and the non-variable terms on the other, we can say that x plus y is 132. So given this diagram, we come up with our first equation. But we also know the opposite angle theorem tells us that this angle here is going to equal that angle here. So we know that x minus 2y is 48. So we actually have two different equations with two different variables. So we're going to rearrange the first equation to isolate the x. Doing that, we're going to see that x is equal to 132 minus y. Okay? Because it said x plus y is 132, subtracting y from both sides gives us x equaling 132 minus y. And we're now going to substitute that expression into equation 2, like it says here. Now, equation 2 says x minus 2y equals 48. So, instead of x minus 2y equals 48, we'll put 132 minus y minus 2y equals 48. We substituted the expression in for x. Well, that means that 132 minus y minus 2y is 48, which means that 132 minus 3y is 48. Which means that 132 minus 48 is equal to 3y, 84 is 3y, and 28 is y. And now that we have that, we're going to take this value for y and substitute it into any previous equation we had involving both x and y. Well, this is a really good one to use because it has x isolated already and it's tailor-made for subbing in a value for y and solving for x. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, since x equals 132 minus y, we can say x is 132 minus 28, which is 104. And so the solution to the system of equations is x equals 104 and y equals 28. Now this question is a little bit different because rather than having a linear system of equations that contains x's and y's and no other variables, we have a system that contains other variables. But we can still isolate, if we have two equations, we can still isolate two of the variables and solve for them. You'll see what I mean by that. We can still isolate the x and we can still isolate the y and solve for them in terms of the variables on the right hand side of the equation. So what we're going to do right now first is rearrange equation 2 to isolate the variable y. Okay? So instead of 5x minus y equals 6f, we can say 5x minus 6f equals y. We simply added y to both sides and subtracted 6f from both sides. Well, now we've got an expression with y isolated and y stated solely in terms of e and f. So what we're going to do now is, since we rearranged equation 2 to get that expression, we're going to substitute it into equation 1. So taking this expression for y and substituting it into equation 1, we go from 3x minus 2y equals 4e to 3x minus 2 times 5x minus 6f equaling 4e. We substituted this value in for y. We now distribute the 2, and we get 3x minus 10x plus 12f equals 4e. Well, what we can now do then is isolate the x, so we get negative 7x on the left, we have 4e on the right, we subtract 12f from both sides, and we can say negative 7x equals 4e minus 12f. Now dividing each term by negative 7 gives us x equaling negative 4/7 e plus 12/7 f. And we have an expression for x in terms of only e and f. What we're now going to do is substitute that expression into any equation involving both x and y. And this one is tailor-made for it because we have y isolated And so we're going to substitute in our value for x. And when we do that, we'll be left with just e's and f's on the left-hand side. So we have 5x minus 6f equals y. We know that x is equal to negative 4/7 e plus 12/7 f minus 6f equals y. We can distribute in that 5 and get negative 20/7 e plus 60/7 f minus, I convert that to 42/7 so that we can easily collect like terms, equals y. So 6f is 42/7 f. All that equals y. And now collecting my like terms, I see 60/7f minus 42/7f is 18/7f. So y is actually equal to negative 20/7 times e plus 18/7 times f. And the solution to the linear system is x equals negative 4/7 e plus 12/7 f, and y is negative 20/7 e plus 18/7 f.